know I just said that, like, the system, evil, devil, money is debt in a debt-based system. Gold is not. Also, if you go back a bit in Matthew, it says you can't serve God and mammon. You're like, okay, you missed me on the whole mammon thing. Well, it's a Hebrew thing. I studied Hebrew. And one who trusts God or the debt that you trust. And as we speak in regards to trust, the central banks, breaking news, are like, maybe we shouldn't trust this debt thing. Breaking, foreign central banks now hold more gold than U.S. bonds. Change unseen in 100 years is coming. I could be wrong, but this is what I see. People come to this channel and they're like, you said it with... It's happening. For my traders, how about those, how about dem gold futures? Wow, that just keeps going up and up. Oh, and hey, how about my silver futures? Look at this. Woohoo! This was a very beautiful cup here. We will just fill that cup up with some water. Oh, I love your hand. Fine by me. Oh, hey, look. There we go. I'd like to know how you'd like to measure that. Take the volume of said cup and move it up that way. Oh, and just to let you know, I haven't talked about my silver position. My physical. I actually did sell at one of the tops, 75%. Still holding the 25. I would have to say my fingers are itchy. That whole buy low, sell high. And no one likes to sell when it's high. And no one wants to buy when it's low. Huh. Shocker. But let me give you some wisdom, a little biblical wisdom. I just mentioned it. Give God any money. Well, that stuff. Don't fall in love with that stuff. It'll get you every time. That's why J. Louis Vuitton Bravo only trades. Sometimes I macro trade, mini trade, long trade, but I'm always moving the money, never falling in love with it. Know you've fallen in love with your asset, if it is an asset, in the comment section. You give me heat. Maybe you've taken your gold, created an idol, worshipped it. I don't know. No, I come here every day to help you break out of those mindsets. Just click buttons on screen, make digits go up, maybe $1,200 a day, $500, I don't know. All I know is it solves problems. Here's one of my students going through the course every morning. He sends me his profit or loss. You can see today was 510. You can see that's on the way down. He sent me another one. I'm like, well, what happened? He said he made $165 in 1/10 of a second, gets him up to around a 700, and have a nice day. If you want to know how to do it, link in the description. 1 hour and 53 minutes, my $1 million course, the beginner's guide, step-by-step, AI, the kit and caboodle. I even throw in my bear market course for free, $299 until it goes to $399. When you see things like that, you know exactly what they mean. By the way, the market should be so much higher than it is right now, just based solely on M2 money supply and the amount of debt that the government is printing. So let this be a canary in the coal mine. We got a lot of that. And we are currently printing like it is the great financial crisis, and it's getting worse. And when that stock market really rolls, okay, you'll see it. Ain't there yet. I'm just giving you what everyone is doing. The chess game has been played, the players have been removed. We're getting close to the end, and oh my gosh. You know what some of you might be thinking, well, but how does this really, can't they just keep going? You can't. Actually, France is finding out. Watch this. Look at this. Eye-opening chart. Let me translate it. 44% of new debt, okay, bonds, in France since 2017 have been spent on pensions. That would be half. Okay. Then you have, we have to make interest payments, all of these things. It eats itself until you're like, we can't do anything other than, I put it in pink for you, bankrupt. And I know what you're saying. Well, look at Japan. Look at steepest yield curve. No one trusts it. That's why one end goes up and the other one goes down. People are saying, we don't trust your debt-based system. We're going long gold. I know some of you guys are itching. Well, what about Bitcoin? Well, why don't we, Ethereum, Solana, why don't we go long that? Again, I trade the charts. Digits go up, and then I buy things with it. I would like to purchase assets, but I like buying assets cheap and then sell expensive. Really like to start picking up some assets like real estate, but guys, are pending. This is worse than GFC. I mean, this is when you. I mean, this line should have just gone. You weren't allowed to even leave your house. Look. I mean, oh my golly wally. We could have so much farther to go. At the same time, the government's going to try to print their way out of this. Again, that's what they're doing right now. I don't see any stimmies. I don't see bonds, trillions of bonds. Hooray that everyone's like, yes, we still love your system. If I've ever seen anything wobbly in my life, this debt-based system's starting to wobble. And I know a lot of people are like, well, where do I run? I mean, Bitcoin. Okay, that's looking 2021 top. You know me. I know you. I don't buy tops. I sell into tops. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news line into 2021 and 2025. Yes, it could go higher. I mean, today's not looking like one of them. And honestly, it's still good news on Bitcoin. Okay, I'm just saying. You're above that. Don't come back down there. So let me turn on my Pi cycle top indicator. It's not on yet. Also, I think Bitcoin might be setting up for a sweet swing trade. I would. And I normally don't swing trade Bitcoin. Things like this. Yeah, guys, be very careful on this. It's not confirmed yet, okay? This is I'm also in the way. This probably wouldn't even get confirmed till November, December. I don't know. But you have a and just don't break this blue line. Also have that McDonald's one that I drew. I'm loving it. You broke it. It's current. I think Bitcoin's just dying to retest that. On that swing though, okay. But again, okay, I'm giving. This is what I do. I'm trading it, or AI is trading it, and I'm going to make sure that I don't become a doctor. Are AI tools making doctors worse at their job? The answer is yes. What's it doing for us, though, as students, as entrepreneurs, as business owners? Well, let's take a look on Bravo's AI strategies. Up 619%. Look at this. These are insanity. 127%, 419, 773. And it goes on and on. For some people, AI is terrible. I'd be frightened if I was a doctor and I spent 20 years. I'm $300,000, $400,000 in student loan debt. If I am a business owner and I start businesses and I'm a trader and I use AI, game changer. So please do not email me. I'm emailing 10 people a day. If you're in the course, you get the opportunity. Again, roughly 50,000 students I have trusted me to be their friend. And hopefully, are we in the right direction? Yep, we're good. Okay, we're good. Please start. You've got to know how to do it first. Then you can click it, forget it, and say, thank you, Johnny Bravo. But with that, I got to hop on a plane, get out of California. I feel the tax burden already. And I'll see you tomorrow.
In 2022, astronomers using the Murchison Wide Field Array discovered a strange new radio signal that was arriving every 22 minutes. The astronomers were no strangers to such repeating signals. They typically come from pulsars, neutron stars which send intense pulses of light across the universe as they rotate on their axis. But as they began to look deeper into records of past observations, they realized this signal had been arriving at Earth since at least 1988, with remarkable stability, far more stable than is expected for a pulsar rotating every 22 minutes. If it was a neutron star, it was unlike any they had seen before. So, where was this signal coming from? I'm Alex McColgan, and you're watching Astrum. Join me today as we grapple with the mystery that lies behind this signal, which will challenge our understanding of some of the most awe-inspiring objects in our cosmos. The location of the source, named GPM J1839-10, is roughly 18,000 light-years away. Its signal arrives as pulses that can last any amount of time between 30 seconds and 5 minutes. These pulses can appear at any time in a window of just over 6.5 minutes, which is centered on 22 minutes after the previous pulse. To us, this may seem like a great deal of variation. 30 seconds and 5 minutes are very different durations, and the pulse arrival varying by over 6 minutes doesn't paint a picture of a very stable source. But neutron star dynamics can be very complicated, And if the source is indeed a neutron star, then many factors can affect the duration and arrival times of the pulses that we receive. Nevertheless, the astronomers were able to spot this signal hiding in data from the last 35 years and used this expanded dataset to average out the fluctuations. They calculated that the source was rotating once every 21 minutes and 58 seconds, as well as how much it had slowed down. But to their surprise, they calculated that this rotation period remained unchanged over the past 35 years, even though it is expected that the source will slow down as it radiates energy into space. We can only say for sure that if the source has slowed down, its rotation period would not have increased by more than 0.28 milliseconds over the 35-year period, because otherwise we would have been able to detect this in our data. This is an absolutely minuscule amount, and it shows that whatever the object is spinning with remarkable stability. This usually isn't odd for a pulsar. These are the timekeepers of the universe, the clocks of the cosmos, mechanistically ticking away with such certainty that we can use them to measure time across vast stretches of the universe. However, this level of stability is odd for a pulsar that is rotating so slowly. To understand what makes it odd, we need to recap how pulsars work and what makes them slow down over time. Pulsars are neutron stars, the leftover cores of dead supergiant stars which, barring black holes, are the densest objects in the universe. Planets like our own are made up of atoms, which consist of over 99.999% empty space due to the vast separation between the electrons and the incredibly dense nucleus they are whizzing around. But imagine an entire star made purely out of the neutrons that are found in the nucleus. No electrons, no protons, no empty space. Merely a teaspoon of it would have as much mass as 11 times that of the entire human population, all 8 billion people. A typical neutron star is around 35% more massive than our Sun, and squeezed into a sphere that has the diameter about as long as the island of Manhattan. To call it dense would be an understatement. For reasons still unknown to astrophysicists, the extreme environment gives rise to an incredibly strong magnetic field. What does this have to do with the signals we receive from pulsars? Where do the light waves come from? To answer this question, we need to understand a complicated process that gives rise to the signal, an exponentially growing shower of light and matter, all spawning from a single electron. Near the magnetic poles of a neutron star, an electron can be accelerated by the magnetic field and emit a so-called curvature photon, tangential to the magnetic field line. This marks, if you like, the start of a pulse. The curvature photon moves in a straight line until the angle between its momentum and the magnetic field line becomes too great. Once this angle reaches a threshold, the light dissipates and imbues its energy into the quantum field of electrons. An electron is created alongside its antiparticle, the positron. The electron-positron pair has some momentum perpendicular to the magnetic field lines, which they spontaneously dispose of in the form of synchrotron photons. These two synchrotron photons can each then produce another electron-positron pair after they reach the threshold angle between their momentum and the magnetic field lines. This process repeats again and again, exponentially increasing the amount of photons and electron-positron pairs created until the synchrotron photons no longer have enough energy to create electron-positron pairs, putting an end to the cascade. These photons then beam out into space, while the original electron continues its journey, generating more curvature photons and more cascades as it moves along the magnetic field lines. This pair production cascade is why the light of a pulsar is so intense that we can detect a signal from this tiny stellar remnant thousands of light years away. But why do we see this light as pulses rather than a continuously glowing beacon of light shining at us. This is because the magnetic poles of a neutron star are rarely ever aligned with its axis of rotation. Just like on Earth, the magnetic North Pole that our compasses point to isn't the actual geographic North Pole the Earth rotates around. So, the pulsars are like great lighthouses, sweeping their beams of light around the cosmos as they spin. And for an observer far away, like us on planet Earth, we see the beams sweep past us again and again as the pulsar completes its rotation on its axis. These are the pulses of light that our telescopes can detect. However, this is light with very long wavelengths in the radio part of the spectrum, meaning only a radio telescope can detect it. The light that the cascade produced is of the same wavelength, with the peaks and troughs of the light waves fluctuating in unison. The light waves are also polarized, which means they are all aligned along the same axis. This is a hallmark of neutron stars, and this is precisely what we observe in the 22-minute signal. The signal also has fluctuations that last between 0.2 to 4 seconds, where the axis of the light's polarization suddenly changes by 90 degrees, perpendicular to the original axis, and then back again. This effect is yet another signature of the cascades at the poles of the pulsars. So much of our data points to a pulsar being the signal that you'd think this was an open and shut case. But one variable that we've mentioned earlier throws this entire theory into doubt: the slow rotation rate of the neutron star, or rather, the combination of the slow rotation rate and the high stability of the rotation rate of the source. You see, as pulsars lose energy by shining their powerful beams into the cosmos, conservation of energy will ensure that the pulsar slows down. Eventually, the pulsar will slow down so much that it can no longer power the pair production cascades, and the light emission starts to shut off. The pulsar has entered the so-called Death Valley. This graph plots neutron stars based on their rotation period on the x-axis and the rate of change of their rotation period on the y-axis. Death Valley is shown in this gray band running through the middle, and any pulsar that has properties below this line should not be shining as the bright lighthouses they usually are. We see that our signal is below even the lowest line marking the Death Valley, meaning that if it were a pulsar, it should be well and truly switched off, and yet we are detecting it. Look at the cluster of other known neutron stars on this graph. They usually spin between 10 times a second to once every second. In comparison, our signal has a spin rate of once every 1,318 seconds, over 1,000 times slower than the typical pulsar. This would be fine if it was also slowing down quickly, which equates to moving this data point upwards on this graph above the Death Valley. Such rapid energy loss would power the pair production cascade necessary to light the beacon of the neutron star. Yet, the neutron star is mind-bogglingly stable, and it makes no sense that we can detect it. The astronomers who found the signal considered an alternative mechanism that might explain how a neutron star with such properties might have produced this light. Maybe the neutron star is a magnetar, a neutron star that has an unusually strong magnetic field, greater than 10,000 times the strength of the weakest neutron star magnetic fields. Magnetars are known to undergo starquakes, cataclysmic events that release the tension in the upper crust of a neutron star. These stresses are produced by the strong magnetic fields of the magnetar, as well as the slowing down of the magnetar rotation. A fast-spinning magnetar will bulge in the middle due to the centrifugal force distorting the star from a perfect sphere. As the magnetar slows down, the outer layers need to readjust to a new equilibrium and lose some of the bulge they have. The crust snaps into a new position, causing magnetic fields to temporarily realign and powering the release of the energy as light